Hey guys, what's up? My name is Squire with Academy FM, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at how to create drum patterns for future bass and sort of the basic drum patterns that are used within the genre and BPMs and things like that. So before we get into the drums, I've got this chord progression basically set up, kind of like a drop synth, I guess you could say, and we're going to be basing our drums off of this. So let me just play this for you guys first. So really basic, but it's a basic chord progression that would be used as well within future bass. So let's just get in the drums. And I've got the BPM set at 150, which is kind of a popular BPM within future bass. I'd say between 140 and 160 is pretty popular. Or you could do like 75 to 80, which is just the halftime of that. A lot of people write tracks in those BPMs as well. So I'm just gonna go into the some somatics packs here, and we'll find some drums and snares that would fit this. And when it comes to sample selection, I'm looking for a hard-hitting sort of clicky kick and maybe a tonal snare, but something that really slaps and hits you. Something that just, it's not a basic snare. It's got a lot to it, and it's kind of unique. So we might have to layer some snares, but we'll get something that sounds cool. But first I'm just gonna go into the heater pack here and look for some kicks. I already like this kick. I think we're gonna just keep that in here as well. Let's see what this. I really like that. I'm actually just gonna stay with that because that's a really hard hitting kick. But we'll get into some hi-hats and stuff like that later. But for now, I just want to focus on the main kick and snare pattern. So let's also just look in the snares in here and see what they have. I like that. We're going to layer that. That was something else. So this one we've got nice smack. I want something tonal to it. That could be cool. And we can pull out the tone of it more as well. So before we get into anything, I just want to use a spectrum to see what key our kick and our snare is, since I want these to fit well in the mix. If you put your snares like this, or I mean your just drums like this in the key, it'll really help in the final mix down as well. So this is a G. So I think G is in key because our track is in A minors, but let's see what it would sound like at A. That sounds good too. So we'll just stay with that. And now let's listen to both of our snares together. Okay, so that sounds really hard hitting, but what we're gonna do for this one is I'm going to cut the tail out of it. And let's as well drop a spectrum on it, just on this one, not on the first one, because that one doesn't really matter as much. So this is looks like a G sharp. So that's perfect. You just have to pitch it up one. Perfect. And now we can take an EQ, and if we go back to the spectrum, we can see that where it's hitting at A right here, or it's still, okay, so we have to pitch it up too, actually. So now it's A. So that frequency right there is 449. So if we go here, type in 449, and then we could just bring this up. It'll make it sound really tonal, but you want to take the Q all the way down. And you don't want it too high, but that'll bring out the tonality of the snare right there. But we're just going to dial this back a lot because it is really aggressive. Alright, let's just see what that sounds like in conjunction with our kick drum. I'm actually going to layer this with just one more snare as well. So let's find something maybe sort of metallic. That would sound good. Yeah, that's good. So we just got to do what we did before again with our spectrum analyzer. Let's just solo this though. So that's an A sharp, so just bring it down just one. Yep, perfect, that's A. And now we could do what we did with the other one as well. Yeah, it just makes it pop out a little bit more. We might not even need the second snare, so let's just see what it sounds like with the first and the third. Yeah, that's good. So we can get rid of that one. I'm going to cut the tail just off a little bit. And then first thing I'm going to do, set up a compressor for sidechain on our synth group here. So let's just rename this to kick. You can do this to slap snare and tonal snare. All right. And then I'm just going to change these to the color orange. All right. So this is the kick. So let's just sidechain it. The kick, and then we could get this to sound nice. All right, that's perfect. So now we could start making our basic drum and kick pattern. Our basic drum pattern. And then we'll do some perk loops and stuff like that after. But let's just play with this. And so I have these chords purposely so it cuts off at the snare, so that snare really pops through. And then so what we'll do is we could add a kick there, kick there, kick here, kick here, kick here. And then we'll just duplicate that. And then we'll build our drums from there. But let's just play that through, because this is kind of a really basic drum pattern. I'm just going to turn these down as well because it's really loud. And I'm also gonna, I forgot that this wasn't in the group, so we're just gonna paste this on here. All right, so we've got a nice leading kick there. It's bringing it to, it's following the beat, and it's pretty nice, but we're gonna get a little more intricate with it. Not too complex or too crazy, but we could start doing some more stuff with it. So, that sounds great. So let's just duplicate that now. And then maybe we can do something different at the end here. Oh, that just screwed up a little bit, but that's all right. Delete that. Duplicate this. All right, so maybe we could do a little sort of trill thing here. If we bring it to 30-second notes. And then if we were to just duplicate this, that might sound cool. That's cool, but it's a little too much. Maybe if we do that, then we'll put a kick right in here. Yeah, that's cool. put it back to 30-second notes. Drag this out. See what that sounds like now. Yeah, that's great. So that's cool. And now that we've got our basic drum pattern basically done, I'm actually just gonna delete the other half and then duplicate it again because we changed up that a little bit at the end and I want it to be the same. So just duplicate that. Perfect. So now we can go into some hi-hats and rides and stuff like that. So just create another audio track and I'm gonna do this, name this one ride, and then we'll change it to the same color. And the ride's going to come in at the second half here, but the hi-hat will play throughout the entire thing. So let's just go to Somatics here and look for a nice ride. That's perfect. Duplicate that out the entire thing. Well, what we could actually do is, let's just read this to a bar here. The first half can be on sort of every other beat, like on the one and then the snare. But in this part here, we'll just duplicate it. So then that way it gets like faster. I'm just going to EQ that and remove any lows that there might be. And I really like doing things like this with rides like that because it kind of makes your head just follow the beat and it makes you want to bob your head and like dance to it. So now that we got that, I'm going to add a hi-hat and then maybe we could add like a little drum fill at the end. And then we've got our basic drum pattern for a future bass track. So let's do this one. Hi-hat. All right, so actually, you know what? I'm going to make this a MIDI track instead. I'm not going to do audio for this, even though we are going to keep it quite simple. But it'll just be easier to edit this in MIDI. All right. So now let's just find a MIDI clip. And first, I'm actually just going to put an impulse down on here, so that way we can play it out really easily. I kind of want like a crispy hi-hat. That should work. We could EQ it too if it doesn't really pop up in the mix. So now let's go into here. I'm just going to solo, sorry. Or, well, actually, we could just new group drums and then just solo this. All right. So I'm going to start off with just basically eighth notes going to the 5. Oh, it's not in our group, that's why. All right. So now let's solo this. Actually, I don't like that sample, so let's just keep looking for another one. I don't want anything fancy. I just want like a really basic hi-hat. That might work. Yeah, that's good. So I'm just going to make it follow the beat, basically. Yes, that's cool. It's not too complex or anything because we've got the other drums going on, and I don't want it to get too crazy, but we've got some little trills in there, and it kind of adds to the groove of the track, but it doesn't overcomplicate anything and make it like there's so much going on. So let's just play that now with everything that we have. But before we do that, actually, I like to usually pan my hats and rides the opposite way. So all right, now let's play that with everything else. Actually, before we do that, let me just EQ this guy real quick. Then we'll play out what we've got so far. All right, not sure why I was doing that. Let's just cut this out real quick. So that's cool. So I'm not going to overcomplicate this and add any other perks or anything like that, but we could add a drum fill between here and the end here, because if you add perks on top of this now, these synths are already so huge and there's so much other drums going on that it's just going to really get crazy, and you're not even going to hear it. And sometimes I do that in tracks, and I end up removing the perks because you can't hear them and it's just muddying up the mix anyways. So now let's just look for some fills and dial those in. So let's just see what we got here. So actually, we're just going to do it at the end here because we've got a little fill kind of with, it's not really a fill, but it's just kind of a nice trill. But let's just, we can remove, do it the last. Yeah, just like that. Remove these kicks here. And then remove the bass. Something like that, but not that fill. Looking here for something. Instead of maybe that tom there, we could just cut that out and have a kick. See what that sounds like. Maybe get rid of these kicks. I want to add different toms at the end there. Yeah, so these are good toms. So yeah, we could just, this is 150. So we just warp it to 150. Make sure this one's warped to 140. And I'm just going to cut that last little bit out here, and then take these two toms and play with that. That's good, but I want it to come in like, I think if we, right here. And now just for the sake of this, I'm just going to duplicate the entire thing to see what it sounds like after we have this drum fill and it comes in. Yes, that sounds pretty cool. So I'm actually just going to EQ this one just a little bit because I want it to, Tom Phil, I want it to pop out a little bit more. So let's get an EQ and then we can listen to the entire thing that we've created. There. Put some reverb on it too. Perfect. And I'm just going to cut out the really low end of this, like right there. Great. So let's listen to everything that we've got so far. And we just know that that repeats there. So that's basically it. That's how you make a pretty basic standard future bass drum pattern within Ableton. So I hope you guys learned something from this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.